Okay, welcome to the Introduction to Professional Life Coaching class. I am so glad that you guys have chosen this particular discipline as a course of study. I don't know how familiar you are with life coaching, but since you're in this class, that means that you have some curiosity about the topic. It's part of your curriculum as you are working towards your master's degree in coaching, and so this is a good place to start. This is the introduction to it all, okay? And so what I want to do first of all is I want to give all of you a copy of the objectives for today's class, okay? I want you to look over the objective, and then what I'm going to ask you guys to do is I'm going to ask you to pair up. And so Lisa and Shantae, if you pair up, Penny and Beverly, if you guys would pair up, this is what I want you to do. I want you to introduce yourselves, first of all, brief introduction, and then I want you to write down one question, and you can write it there, right on your objectives. Write down one question that you have about coaching right now, like that you don't know, but that you'd like to know. Just one question, think about it, and I want you to write that down. So introduce yourselves and then do that.
It can be about any area?
Any area of coaching, any area of curiosity that you have about coaching. Make sure you have introduced yourselves to each other. Of course, you guys know me already. I am Kimberly Jones, and like I said at the beginning, I am excited to be teaching you all this semester in the Introduction to Life Coaching. So just make sure you write your questions down. Anything that you may have wondered about. For lots of people, coaching is kind of this anomaly that's out there, like, what is it for real? So we're going to see how much you guys know and how much you know by the end of the class, okay? Okay, so now what I want to do, I want you guys to turn your attention to the video. And this video is going to give you some information. And if you want to jot a few notes, that's okay. You know, as we're watching it, it's going to give you a little bit of information on what coaching is and how, kind of how it fits into the scheme of things based on where you guys are going in your field of study.
Ball coach, acting coach, vocal coach, maybe even a financial coach. Confusing, isn't it? Well, coach has become such a popular title that it's being used by lots of professions, often with no training. And sometimes coaching is just a fancy way of saying, I'll ask you a few questions and then tell you what I think you should do. Well, let's clear the air a little bit about coaching. Coaching is often confused with therapy, consulting, and mentoring. Now, those are great helping professions, but they're not professional coaching. Here's the difference. Therapists focus on the past and work to fix what's broken. Consultants provide quantitative analysis and create roadmaps for organizational change. They get paid to provide answers. Mentors help those with less experience. Mentors are already experts in their field and are helping others reach success. Now, there may be some overlaps in approach, but none of these are professional coaching. Professional coaching is a different type of conversation. There's a whole lot of asking and not much telling. Professional coaches are focused on you, helping you design your future, your goals. They're thought-provoking and inspirational. You work on your topic. A professional coach focuses on you. Professional coaches are also discerning listeners, empathetic, creative, intuitive, and curious. They're trained in coaching behaviors and competencies, which makes them really good coaches, and they're bound by professional standards and ethics. A professional coach will be your partner, your advocate, your champion. Want to try things you've only imagined? We're Smith Leadership. We believe it's all about what's possible, not what's limiting. Your future is waiting for you.
Okay, so that's just a little bit of information. How'd you like the video? I think it was a little informative, give you kind of an idea of what coaching is all about. Okay, so you know with every video there's a test, right? So this is what I want you to do. I want you to turn your papers over. And this is really, I don't want you to feel threatened by this process. It's just an exercise that is going to get you thinking a little deeper. You'll notice as we go throughout the class that we'll go a little deeper and deeper into the topic and kind of give you an opportunity to explore what we're discussing, okay? So, 1 minute paper, that's it. I want you to write down in 1 minute what you learned from the video about life coaching or professional life coaching. For 1 minute. You need another, does somebody need another pen or? Okay, I think that's been just about a minute there. Now, we're going to do this exercise. It's called Think, Pair, and Share, okay? So for a few seconds here, just look at what you wrote on your paper and kind of think about, meditate about the question that you come up with or the information that you have written there as far as what you gleaned from the video, okay? Kind of think about that, kind of get that in your mind and in your spirit. And now go back to your partner that you were with before. And what I want you to do is I want you to discuss your thoughts and collaborate with each other as far as, at this point right now in class, what your idea of coaching is. What you've learned so far based on your discussions, your questions in the video that we've watched. I want you guys to take a few minutes and talk to each other about that and come up with a collective meaning based on your shared information, okay?
So, I've always thought that coaching was, the mentoring, but I thought that fell under all of that. So the video really helped me to realize that that's not the case. So, the fact that like a licensed coach focuses on you, that is very informative because they don't really know what they actually did. So. Asking a lot of questions and then telling you what to do. Yeah.
So it's like they take you from the back end of it, like the counselors, the parents and parents, but like it seems to me that like we would have to go back there.
Take about 10 more seconds.
Yeah.
So it takes you all the way through the process, and not just part.
There again, focusing on you. Yeah.
Okay, very good, very good. Sound like you guys had some robust conversation going on there. So now, I need volunteers from each group to be the spokesperson, and I want you to share what your collaborative ideas are and what you kind of gleaned from the video and from your conversation with your partner. So who's the spokesperson over here? Who's the spokesperson? Is it Shantae? Yeah, Shantae. So Shantae, tell us what you got.
So what we got is basically professional life coaching is a totality of consulting, mentoring, and all the others. It's like having a person that takes you from the back end of the process all the way through, and so it focuses on you, but it does it all. It's like full circle.
Okay, very good. Who's the spokesperson over here in this group?
We basically just talked about the differences between a life coach. Like we recognize that there are different types of coaches, but a life coach, particularly, we talked about the characteristics and how they're very good listeners and they're to be empathetic, and then also that coaching is more about asking than anything else. So they mentioned a therapist where therapist focuses more on your past and fixing those things, where coaching is more about, okay, well, where are you trying to go, and to help you get to the next level.
Very good, very good, very good input. And right, you guys are catching on really well. The video was very informative, and I can tell that you guys kind of dug your heels in there a little bit real quick and kind of got the meat of what this topic of coaching is all about, okay? So this is what I want to do now, is I want to kind of go over, because I heard you guys talking about the consulting and the counseling and the mentoring, and I think it's important that we distinguish these disciplines one from the other as you pursue this track of becoming professional life coaches. Because what you'll find many times is that people will cross those lines when in all actuality they are very distinct. They are very different in their approach and in the execution of these different disciplines. So I want to talk to you right now about the difference between these disciplines and coaching. So let's talk about counseling first, okay? Counseling is where you take a client from where they are to the place that they desire to be, of course, but you do it from a different perspective than coaching. Counseling usually is very therapeutic and clinical in nature, meaning that there's going to be a lot of processing about things from the past and about feelings and about emotions and, you know, about those things that are very difficult for the client to kind of maneuver through. They very similar to a coaching client, they may be stuck, but the process for getting them unstuck goes further than just looking to where they're going. It reaches back into their history, and it allows the client and the counselor to kind of go through the process to reconcile maybe some unfinished business from childhood, maybe from relationships that were in their past, or maybe even situations, internal situations within themselves that they've had a difficult time in processing. The one thing that I want you to remember about counseling is that the counselor is the expert. The counselor has the education, the counselor has the know-how, and so the client comes in, and I always like to use this term, the client comes in and kind of flat brains when it comes to really trying to figure out their own stuff. They kind of look to the counselor to give them the answers, to give them the processes, to give them the strategies that will help them move forward in their lives. So that's the counseling perspective, okay? When you think about, any questions about that? Any questions about counseling? When you think about mentoring is different from coaching as well. Mentoring is where you have a senior individual and a junior individual. The senior individual many times might be older or just may have more experience than the junior individual. However, again, the mentor is the expert. The mentor is the expert. And they many times use their life and their life experiences as the point of reference as a mentor. The mentee looks to the mentor for the answers again, okay? And so the mentor reaches back in their own life and says, well, this is the way I did it, you know, and I think you should do it this way too. Or I think it's a good idea because it worked for me. And so a mentor aligns themselves as the expert and really pours into the mentee, and again tries to get them from where they are to where they're trying to go, but from a perspective of pretty much showing them an example through their own lives, okay? That's mentoring. Anybody have a question about mentoring? Have any of you ever been mentored? Does that kind of sound like what happened in those processes? Very good. Now let's talk about consulting. Many times when we think about consulting, that's from a business perspective. You'll have, again, an expert that comes into an environment, whether it's a church or a organization, maybe a nonprofit. The consultant comes in when there's a problem. So the consultant comes in and shares their expertise, their know-how, their knowledge about the particular problem. They help the team or the organization or the group figure out, how do we get past this problem? The consultant many times will have experience with that problem because that's their area of expertise. So they come in, they share their expertise once again, they help solve the problem, and then they're gone. And so the consulting, a client relationship does not last beyond the problem most of the time. Now, maybe the consultant will come back again if that problem occurs again, but as far as having like a personal relationship, that many times does not happen with the consultant. Does all of that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. Now, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about counseling, mentoring, and consulting. I'm going to give you a scenario, and I want you to think about how you would approach this scenario, not from a coaching perspective, but from a counseling, mentoring, or consulting perspective. So here's the scenario. There's a manager who is overseeing a help desk or a call center, and he has 25 employees that are working under him. He's been having a problem with getting the team to work together, to be unified in the vision of the company. And so he's called on you to help him to solve this problem. So I want you to think about, and I want you're going to get back into your little dyads here, and you're going to talk about it. I want you to think about how you would approach this situation from the different perspectives. Not coaching yet, but I want you to think about it from a counseling, mentoring, and consulting. So I want you to use that language, okay, based on our conversation about those 3 disciplines, okay? All right, so take a moment and talk with your partner there.
Okay, so from a counseling perspective, yes. Show him the
leadership skills.
Mm-hmm.
And from a consulting
yeah, but from a business perspective, bring him ideas or things that they can possibly implement from a business perspective too.
From another ideal organization where this works. So
Right.
you should probably go take this approach because people assess and we see that this person is and this conflict is right. So this person type person. So basically on that will you use some of this for different
That one person may or may not have good leadership skills.
Right. Okay, ladies, let's see what you came up with. So, I'm the manager, okay? I'll be the manager, and I want this group, I want you to help me from the counseling perspective. I'm the manager trying to get this thing together with my call center. And so, how would you all help me from a counseling perspective? What would you ask me?
From a counseling perspective, I would have to first ask you, what are you dealing with? What are the major conflicts that keeps arising?
Okay. What else?
That would be one.
Uh-huh.
I would ask him how he has up to this point, or how have you up to this point tried to resolve the matter? How have you tried to fix the matter
Okay.
up to
Okay.
this point?
Okay. So you ask questions about how I resolved it in the past. You would look to the past.
What has not worked?
What has not worked up
You're
to
here
this
talking
point?
to me.
Mhm.
None of that has worked up to this point.
Okay.
Have you ever led before?
Have you
Okay.
ever-
Okay. So we kind of go. I hear that you guys are kind of going in the past in my history and find it out. You know, you probably would go maybe even a little deeper and say, so what is it about you that keeps these people from doing what they need to do?
Right.
What is it about you? Did you experience something in
Well,
your
we said
childhood
when you said I have leadership.
Yes, so you would kind of
Yeah.
dig into it like that. Very good, very good. Okay, so let's talk about the mentoring perspective.
So considering that I've been in this position before, so I would come to you, find out exactly what the issue is, and then you would be able to relate to you. So when I was over a group, these are some of the things that I did, and I found that these worked for me.
Okay.
So giving you best practices and steps that you can take based on my experiences that could possibly help you in this case.
Very good. So using yourself as a point of reference, as the mentor, as the expert, and kind of telling me what to do, right? Very good. So who wants to take the challenge of the consultant perspective? Okay, you got voluntold. Okay.
Okay, so the consultant is basically dealing with the business and organization. So as Penny says, that we're going to give him the steps of what we did that would help him to overcome. And so I feel like the mentoring and the consultant goes hand in hand. So he can try those steps to help him to overcome those obstacles that will help with the lead and the direct.
And also with the consulting, we talked about like possibly giving them the tools like personality tests or scores so that he gets a better understanding of his team and he understands their strengths and their weaknesses, and then he can find out, you know, what the issue
works
is
well with
exactly.
who,
Very strategic, very business oriented. You know, I like the steps. 1, 2, 3. This is what you do, right? Very good. You guys got that. I wanted you to get an idea of how to apply those principles. I know you're not counselors or consultants, but just in that language so that you hear it. So in the event that you start coaching and you hear some of that counseling cropping up, or some of that consulting cropping up, or some of that mentoring, unless that's what you're doing, then you know you want to kind of make the shift and the adjustment and get back in the coaching lane. Does that make sense? So I want to show you this brief PowerPoint right here, and we're gonna kind of now dig into coaching in specific. Okay, so what is coaching? Coaching is a collaborative process between coach and client, which facilitates success and the fulfillment of purpose for the client. It's a collaborative process. It's a partnering process. It's a process where, not like counseling, mentoring, and consulting, where they're the expert. You know the wonderful thing about coaching? The client is the expert. I want you to remember that. That's going to be an overarching theme throughout your matriculation through this course and through the rest of your degree attainment. Okay, you're going to have to know that. You want to keep that perspective. And so that's what coaching is. You help the client to learn about themselves by doing the core principles that we're going to go over on the next couple of slides. But remember, more than anything, that coaching is looking at where the client is right now, taking an honest assessment of that, finding out where they want to be, and then helping them to map out that process in between. Many times as a coach, what I use as my example is I'm a human GPS system. And so with the GPS system, what do? You plug in the address, your destination of where you want to go, right? And then the GPS comes up with, right, based on collaboration with the information that was put in, how to get there. And many times there's several different routes, right? And so it's not up to the coach, but the client to decide which route is best for them. Now, ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation, this is their definition of coaching. It states that coaching is a partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and their professional potential. That's what it's all about right there. Maximizing potential and partnering. So you want to